Well, thank you for sticking with us, and thanks again to Lori Artiega for being with us the last half hour. And of course, right now, let me bend down so you can see that a little better. This is National Alien Abduction Day. And as we have discussed in the past, do I believe in UFOs? Yes, I do, but that means unidentified. You don't know what it is. Uh, are they from outer space? Are they from inner space? Are they from a parallel universe? I don't know. I tend to agree, not completely with Jacques Vallée, but just having read his one of his books, Dimensions, he says that it's just much too boring a thought to think that all these things going on that we can't understand are just visitors from outer space, because there are things that are a lot more interesting. In any case, you can see I've got my foil hat on. Oh, if I get back there, you can see more of it. Now this, where is it? It's over here. This is an antenna. It's curled up. When I get a signal, it goes out and picks it all up really well. And of course, it makes me look so much better. So we're not looking to make fun of tinfoil hat people, but it's always good to be ready. So National Alien Abduction Day is actually on Sunday, my birthday, first day of spring. And to explain a little bit more about that, NASA Nellie is just coming around the bend from outer space in the International Space Station. So I'm listening for her retro rockets. I don't hear them yet. Maybe she's just going to crash land anyway, and she'll be here. So anyway, I guess she crash landed. So let me check to see if her retro rockets are in it. Nope. Okay.
Okay.
Are you with us, NASA Nellie?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Take it away, NASA Nellie.
Okay, March 20th, which is Sunday, Jay's birthday, is National Alien Abduction Day, also known as Extraterrestrial Abductions Day. Clamp on your foil hat and cower under your bed. Alien Abduction Day is here. Originally, this holiday was popularized by the 2008 Alien Abduction Day Festival in Toronto. It was a huge sci-fi street party in Toronto, sponsored by a comic book store, and then became an annual event. It's a day to have fun and watch movies about aliens, some adorable, some comical, and some from your worst nightmares. For example, E.T., so cute, especially when he phones home. Then there is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Men in Black, Signs, or the creature we will never forget in the movie Alien. How about that enormous space traveler who stole Mrs. Archer's jeweled necklace right off her neck in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman? And let's not forget the classic film The Thing from Another World. Aliens from outer space come in all sizes, all types, but realize that extraterrestrial abductions can be a real occurrence and can be very profound and significant to the abductees as well as the subjects of missing time. Reports of alien abductions have taken place and still take place around the world, and many have been investigated by a number of scientists and researchers and have been the subject of books and film. Yet there are several that are considered as genuine situations and far from being hoaxes. For example, the Betty and Barney Hill case in 1961 in a rural part of New Hampshire was considered the first officially reported extraterrestrial abduction in history. Their story began on an uninterrupted road trip when they were spotted by otherworldly creatures from a hovering craft that pursued them while they were driving. Their unusual story became known by the media immediately after they made it public, and after several hypnosis studies were conducted, hidden details of the event were revealed. Among many things, the now famous star map. The Pascaluga Incident in 1973 featured two fishermen friends who were both abducted while fishing. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker heard a whizzing sound and saw two flashing blue lights, observed a huge oval object floating above the water, and were suddenly captured by two beings. They were brought aboard the craft and later released, which led the men to contact local authorities. Logger Travis Walton in 1975 was abducted in front of his own co-workers in a national forest in Arizona. He was zapped by a light beam from a UFO that was hovering above the trees. He disappeared for 5 days, and when he reappeared, he revealed one amazing story that he and his co-workers to this day swear it to be the truth. Science fiction writer Whitley Strieber was intruded on one night by an alien abduction incident in upstate New York in the 80s. He was in a cabin in the woods when he was awoken by a strange noise and saw small, non-human entities approaching his bed. Suddenly it was morning. It wasn't until a few months later, under hypnosis, that he realized that those nighttime visitors actually abducted him. It is said to be the basis of his popular nonfiction book, Communion, selling over 1 million copies. So get ready. Even the Pentagon has admitted that, yes, there are UFOs. Not that they're filled with aliens from space, but there are flying craft out there, unidentified. So pay attention. Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the skies. You will never know what you may discover.
Thank you so much, NASA Nellie, for going over those items with us. And, you had mentioned, just as we were going through, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And we were friends with a guy that did a lot of special effects for films. Among other things, he was a neon worker, worked a lot with neon. Larry Albright being the name, you'll see his name on a lot of credits. But one thing in his workshop, when I went in one day, there was a model that was used in the film Close Encounters. It was the Mothership. It was about 3 feet across, and it was fascinating. And it had originally been made for the film to be, short-lived, but it ended up at the Smithsonian. Smithsonian sent it back to him to keep it repaired and set up, and it was pretty neat. If you took a close look at it, you'll see a lot of little R2-D2s running around, a lot of little Volkswagen buses, things that were in-jokes all over this thing, but of course it just looked like hardware when you saw it on the film. In any case, I should probably keep this on, although it's making some noises, because we're going to talk about famous people's birthdays, and one of them is, I had a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, reverse mortgages, but we don't do that much on this show like we should. And whose birthday we missed because of, we were preempted last week, which is not a bad deal because, sports is good. But Douglas Adams was born on the 11th, and he was born 1952 and died in 2001. So I'm not sure from what he passed away from, but obviously much too young. So Douglas Adams was an English author and screenwriter. Adams was the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Let's show this. And there it is. Amazing. Huge bestseller. Anyway, let's show it again. It was a whole series of books, and was a series on radio, on BBC, and there was a film, but we'll get into that. And of course, there is number 42, right? That comes from, yeah. So, if ever you ask anybody what is the meaning of life, the answer is 42. And if you read the book or had seen one of the films, you know what that means. And it was originated in 1978 as a BBC radio comedy before developing into 5 books that sold more than 15 million copies in his lifetime. It's generated television series, stage plays, comics, and a feature film in 2005, and Adams wrote episodes for television's Doctor Who, which I didn't know, and a sketch for Monty Python's Flying Circus, who we do know. But his catchphrase, of course, and I do use this a lot, and here it is, don't panic. So when somebody finds out that the world is going to be destroyed in a few hours, here is the answer to that. Let's take a quick look at him. Never realized what he looked like until we looked it up to get some pictures for this broadcast. And I really like this picture. And I'm sure you know why I really like this picture. It's a good one of him, and it's a good one overall, showing, the universe. So he was born in Cambridge. By the age of 12, he was 6 feet tall. Wow. His teacher said that his height had made him stand out, no kidding, and made him self-conscious. And his ability to write stories made him well known in school, more than his height even. Some of his earliest writings was published at school, and after attending college, he was determined to break into TV and radio as a writer. In his early career, he was discovered by Monty Python's Graham Chapman. They formed a partnership, earning Adams credit for episodes for the group, but he was later commissioned to write scripts for Doctor Who, the one starring Tom Baker. And I don't happen to have that. Oh, let me show you that one. Underneath. Okay. And there he is. And this is kind of funny to open up, right? Just to show you. And of course, you need no further information on, and there's, of course, when you open it up, you don't need any more information about Monty Python. Of course, the cheese shop, one of my favorite things, and of course, the films were great. But The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, according to Adams, the idea for the title occurred to him while he lay drunk in a field in Austria, gazing at the stars. He was carrying a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to Europe, and it occurred to him that somebody ought to write a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He said he made up the stories as he wrote. As a result, BBC broadcast the first radio series in 1978, and the titles for the Hitchhiker stories these were all separate books, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, the Universe, and Everything, So Long, and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless, another one, and Another Thing, being a name of another one, and Another Thing. The film Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe was released in 2005. Here's a laser disc of that. And it says here, stick out your thumb and hitch a ride on the wildest and wittiest intergalactic journey in science fiction history. And that might be just true. Love the books, everything having to do with it. The film, like I said, 2005, and the characters are Marvin, the paranoid android, which was done by Alan Rickman. Unfortunately, passed away not too long ago. The Dr. Skype from the...
Wesley Snipes, or no, that's...
No. From the Harry Potter series. Arthur Dent was Martin Freeman. Zapoid Beeblebrox was Sam Rockwell. and Ford Perfect was Mos Def, and Trillion was Zoe Deschanel, and Slarit Barfast, Slartibart was Bill Niley, and that's I mean, marvelous stuff if you haven't read it. So get on it and read it. But we also have here, just trying to go by all the stuff I wrote for reverse mortgages, which maybe we'll get to eventually because I'm supposed to be. But honorable mentions, a mensch from March 11th. Again, we missed some stuff because of we were preempted. And that was Lawrence Welk, 1903 to 1992. And there is a very small picture of him. I'm not sure if it was worth even printing, but let's give it a try anyway, if I can get it close enough to the camera and if it's actually pointing at the camera. And I'll see in a minute whether it worked or not. If not, I'll come back. Here's a little bit larger. Yeah, it worked. And here is a little bit older, but still looks like a kid. But this is another one with the accordion in action. And I think that's a pretty cool picture. And I don't have, you know, I'm getting close to 9,000 LPs right now. And it may not surprise you, I don't have much in the way of Lawrence Welk. I guess I should for nostalgia anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, NASA Nelly is agreeing from outer space. But I do have this one, and this one's actually pretty good. I'm sorry to say it that way, as if it were a surprise. But Johnny Hodges and Lawrence Welk. And there it goes. There you go. With songs by Benny Carter, Russ Garcia, you know, on and on and on. So Marty Page and on. But this is actually, and I hate to say it that way, but that's the way it naturally comes out of me. That is an entertaining record, and we play it every once in a while, actually. So Lawrence, of course, was an American accordionist and band leader. His style came to be known to his large audience of radio, television, and champagne music. Now, when it was his birthday, we actually gave you the story of how that became known that way and the bubbles. And I promised last time that the next time I talked about Lawrence Welk, we'd have bubbles, but you know what? We didn't. We don't. So next is Jack Kerouac, born March 12th, 1922. And he stuck around until 1969, and Jack was an American novelist who, alongside William S. Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg, and so many others, was a pioneer of the Beat generation. Is this him?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, you know what? When you think of him, you don't necessarily think of somebody that looks like that. I remember he wrote some plays also, and we saw one of them being performed many years ago in the parking lot next to Al's Bar, in downtown Los Angeles. And unfortunately, Al's Bar is no longer there, not because it wasn't making money or not because it wasn't so successful. I mean, place was packed all the time, but Al decided no more. I don't think there's any place that's really in Los Angeles that has taken the place of that. There's another picture that I wouldn't think of as Jack Kerouac, but there he is, Mr. On the Road. And here's another one, looking very normal, shall we say. And no, that's not Jack Kerouac, is it?
Yes.
Not that. That's Ulmer.
Oh.
There's Kerouac again, getting ready to get into his car and get on the road, which of course is his most famous book. And there is a caricature of him, I believe, with the smoking with the cigarette, and Burroughs, who we've talked about many, many times on this show. We don't need to go into Burroughs too much more, but I think that drawing is pretty neat looking. And this is something I got years and years and years ago. It's the Beat Experience. It's a history lesson for, it's a CD-ROM. This was, I don't know what year, I guess I could look for it. But man, is this old. But it's cool. And it goes through the music of the era, Beat Generation, and I think the main music it used for the Beat Generation, although I think this music came out in the 60s, not the 50s. But in any case, it was Blues and the Abstract Truth by Oliver Nelson, which has got some great reissues done on it, and some people think is the best jazz album of all time. So there, Peter Graves was born on the 18th, and he came into this world at 1926, and he earned his wings in 2010. And there's him and his brother. I guess this would be the James Arness, who was, of course, the carrot in
The
Thing from Another World. That was the best role he ever had. And then he had to retire into Gunsmoke and things like that. But, nothing ever took the place as The Thing. And little brother here. So Peter, that was Peter. So he was American actor, best known for his role in television series Mission Impossible, and well over 40 films, including the unforgettable Killers from Space and Beginning of the End. And we're kind of making a joke there, but let me, well, there he is looking normal. And you can kind of see how his brother, you can see he looks a bit like his brother right there. You got, not so much the carrot, but the Gunsmoke guy. Oh, and also his brother was a big part of Them. So Them is also a great movie about giant ants. And I'm sure everybody that watches this show knows about that. And here's a group picture from Mission Impossible. And that was a good television show. And of course, it's turned into a film series, which I think some are gooder than others. But the TV show is a little funkier and pretty cool. And what do we have here? Oh, Killers from Space. This is a great poster. Don't you think? Look at those eyeballs. We talked about this the other day. Peter Graves, and then anyway, Barbara, whatever. Anyway, when we talked about this, what was it? Do you remember, Kathleen? There we go.
Well, it released. It was released on that day. It was.
No, it was a day that, this day kind of thing. It was released on that day, and these are, what are these?
We talked about the makeup artist.
Eggshells or ping pong balls?
Yeah, eggshells.
Eggshells. Is that cool or what? That made
No. He wound up making ping pong balls from.
Okay, he saw them first as eggs, and then experimented with eggshells and turned into ping pong balls, and there you go. Genius.
And he also did the makeup for the 10 Commandments.
Oh, and other than that, he did the makeup for the 10 Commandments, but that's nothing compared to this, Killers from Space. Kurt Russell. You can really see him there, right? Kurt Russell was born March 17th, 1951. And of course, he's still around, luckily. but yeah, there he is. And he's getting older. Okay, but you can, obviously, there he is. Getting older, and then getting older. And we'll stop there. But, you know, looks like he's still enjoying himself. Big smile, right? Right. And so Kurt is an American actor starring in over 70 films and was the first pilot to report to the authorities the Phoenix Lights. So he was, and he's a, you know, an avid pilot, and he was flying into Sky Harbor there at in Phoenix, and actually reported seeing those Phoenix Lights. What year was that in? Do you remember? 1993, 94, something like that. Anyway, I wish I had seen the Phoenix Lights, but I have not. But there's still time, right? I'd say so. And this is for later. Okay, so we're going to talk about some things to do while here in California. And this is, I love this place, let me tell you. It says, and I got this from, again, I pull these things from onlyinyourstate.com, and they have one for Northern California, Southern California, and all the other states around. But Southern California is what I subscribe to. And it says, quote, "You'll love this rooftop restaurant in Southern California that's beyond gorgeous." Now, we're talking about the Perch. And it is on the corner of Hill and 5th, downtown LA, right across the street from where the subway would let you out. The subway stop would be Pershing Square. You get out one way and, you know, on the north end and the north-ish end, and you'd be right there at not only Angel's Flight, but Grand Central Market. Oh, man, do I miss Grand Central Market. I've been there within a year for a business meeting, but my God. Anyway, if you're looking for a breathtaking way to experience Southern California's outdoor restaurant scene, again, I'm quoting, then you'll want to add this spectacular rooftop restaurant to your bucket list, as it provides one of the most incredible views you will ever see. Also, the food seems to be getting better there. It was good. It seems to be getting better. It's easy to get to without driving from Inland Empire. You know, and again, on weekends, on a Saturday or a Sunday, it will cost you a total of $10 for round trip on the train, all the subways, all the light rails, and all the buses. So you can go a lot of, but this is a very easy trip from Union Station. You just go downstairs. You get on either the red line or the purple line, doesn't matter because they parallel there. And you get out at Pershing Square, and high above downtown Los Angeles, you'll find a dazzling restaurant that provides one of the most stunning views of the city. Let me show you some pictures. That's the daytime. That's from inside. Yeah, they have those, but those usually, the picture is from the inside archway, which they have several of. But usually, if the weather permitting, it's wide open to the outdoors. And here's another of the view. This is looking down at Pershing Square. I don't know what happened to the color on this, but so be it. In any case, there you go. Well worth the train trip, I'll tell you. Plus, there's, you know, other things you can do downtown. And here is a nighttime view from the restaurant right there. There's two levels. One is a restaurant. There's a level above, which is wide open, self-serve kind of bar. And you can go there, smoke cigars, drink, do whatever you want to do. I can't drink anymore, but that's wide open. There's music sometimes on both levels. And one thing that really got me going was there was and they don't have music right now because I don't know whether They're going to have it back or not. They got rid of it because of the COVID thing. But Jessie Palter was a singer. She is I think, a great singer, jazz singer. And she usually had at least 3 band people behind her. All good, very, very good. Sometimes different. You'd get a great saxophone player from, that played the circuit in New York would come out. They know her. And they would play with her. Just really, I got to find out where she is these days. Jessie Palter. And you can find this beauty, the restaurant, at 448 South Hill Street in the heart of Los Angeles, downtown. Just walk through this door at Perch and you'll be transported to a remarkable rooftop restaurant that's jaw-droppingly beautiful. And if you're...
Downstairs is Mrs. Fish.
Yeah, downstairs, which I've never been to, is a place called Mrs. Fish. And from what I've been told, there's a huge aquarium in the ceiling or something. I haven't been there, but it only opens up at night. And, I, like Cinderella, I have to be back way before midnight, though. But so if you're afraid of heights, quoting again, you may not want to peek over the edge, as this restaurant is located all the way up on the 16th floor, which is the top floor of this office building. And make sure to pick something fancy to wear. To make sure to bring a sweater because it gets chilly on the rooftop. Elegant destination in Southern California. It says be sure to wear fancy. It's not that fancy, okay? You don't need to be fancy. You'll find people dressed fancy. You'll find people dressed completely,
Casual.
very casual. So looking out from the rooftop, you'll see views of Pershing Square in downtown LA. Feast your eyes on the view after dark. All those city lights make it a magical night sky. I've been there for dinner, for meetings, and just with family and friends. For brunch. Brunch is also very, very good. And no matter where you're seated, you'll find there isn't a bad seat in the house at Perch. And the food is just as heavenly as the view, they say, imagining devouring these mouth-watering surf and turf skewers under a Southern California sky. They had some pictures with it. Or a classic Perch burger, topped with a fried egg. And, you can't go wrong with steak frites. So, or a plate of comfort food for brunch that's served with a view. So doesn't this look like a perfect place to enjoy brunch or dinner with a rooftop view? That's what they're asking. And yes, it is. And again, 448 South Hill Street, downtown Los Angeles. And you just hop the train, $10 round trip, all the way to the restaurant, and actually anywhere you want to go in LA and back. So just make sure you get the schedule. For me, I download the Metrolink app, as they say, and it's got all the schedules in there. And very, very wonderful way to spend the day. So what happened on this day in history? Okay. Again, we're going back a little bit because we missed last week's show, and some of this is so important. So the silent film Nosferatu was released in Germany on March 4th, 1922, and the director was F.W. Murnau and starred Max Schreck. And before Bela Lugosi ever put on his Dracula cape, there was Max Schreck's pointy ear, gaunt look as Count Orlok, the villain of Nosferatu. They had to change the names because it really, I guess he didn't buy the royalties properly from, the author of Dracula, which was Bram Stoker. And his wife got all upset, and apparently it was reported that all the copies of the film were burned, but there was at least 1 or 2 left over, and they made many copies from that. So Orlok represents one of the earliest surviving attempt to put a vampire on the screen. What's that? Oh, you found
Yeah.
that. All right, let's. I mean, this has got to be about the scariest vampire. Just the opposite of what was in the Bram Stoker's Dracula by Coppola. That was who played that? JFK. He was yeah. Well,
Oldman.
What?
Oldman.
Yeah, Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
You gotta,
So
we're all
good.
old, so it takes a while. But look
So
at that face. Oh, also on the film that Coppola did, they took a lot of the scenes from this film and put it in that one, and it's just beautiful. Both of those films. Look at that. Is that better looking than me or what? I don't know, but that is very, very creepy. There's the back with some more images of creepiness, but that is extremely creepy. So there. You know what? This is another film that goes back to that period of time. Carl Theodore Dreyer's Vampire. This has little or nothing to do with what we're talking about, except that it's another absolutely mind-boggling, scary, very scary. It's silent also, with eerie music, and it is really, to me, this is really scary. And maybe the best vampire movie ever made. But take a look at it. We got sidetracked a little. But getting back to Max Schreck, the guy, the Shreck, who played the vampire in the film we're talking about, he was regarded as a conscientious loner with an offbeat sense of humor and a talent for playing the grotesque. He was a star of over 40 films, but is best remembered for his haunting portrayal of Orlok in Nosferatu. Fittingly, his last name is the German word for terror. His performance was so convincing that some viewers wondered if he was an actual vampire in real life. I bet he was. This became the premise for the film Shadow of the Vampire, which featured John Malkovich as Director Murnau and William Dafoe as the blood-sucking, coffin-living Max Schreck. And here it is. John Malkovich, William Dafoe. Anyway, I believe this was the first film that a production company known as Saturn ever made, and Saturn is the production company of what's his name? And again, it's my age, and I know exactly who it is. Nicholas,
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
Of course. What am I saying? Of course. And he is the nephew of who? Francis Ford Coppola.
That's right.
Anyway, watch this movie if you haven't already. And like I said, some of the special effects of Nosferatu were achieved with early stop-motion photography. The picture had its premiere at the Marble Hall of the Berlin Zoological Gardens on March 4th, 1922. That was accompanied by a live orchestral score. Once Furnau's film ended, later the guests took part in an extravagant costume ball with gowns and frock coats. Now that does sound like fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in our youth, maybe 20 years ago or so, we used to, when we got our first not a flat screen, big screen, which was, the mirrors in the back, and anyway, a whopping 40-inch. We used to have lots of people over to watch movies like once a month, and we would always dress up as characters. I remember once Blade Runner, I was kind of dressed up like Daryl
Hannah.
with black mascara, but that's another story. Try not to imagine that, okay? Because that might be more terrible than any of these vampires. So, oh, there's Retro Rockets again. Miss Retro Rocket. Oh, I forgot about my coffee, but we can live without it. March 11th, 1958, Charles Van Doren finally loses on U.S. TV game show 21 after winning $129,000, later revealed to be fixed. Charles Van Doren was an American writer and editor and was involved in the television quiz show Scandal. In 1959, he testified before the U.S. Congress that he had been given the correct answers by the producers of the show. And perhaps you remember a really good movie. I believe it was directed by, what's his name? Robert Redford. And it was called Quiz Show. And it talks all about that situation. And as I recall, did it not only have, yeah, John Turturro was in it. And of course, Ralph Fiennes played the, what's his name? Charles Van Doren. So really great performances by all of them. Produced and directed by Robert Redford. And, music by Mark Isham. That's another subject altogether. If you don't know Mark Isham, he wrote some great soundtracks. He also wrote some just plain old great music. Usually you'll find it in the jazz section, although it's not exactly jazz. It is, a lot of it is on ECM records, which I'm a real fan of. And ECM is a title out of Europe. I'm not sure what country. I have a lot of Scandinavian players. But they've got about 1,000 or more records, which I have a great deal of them. Now, we've got just a few minutes left, not enough for me to get into my big talk about reverse mortgages. But I think I started off with asking when is a loan, or when does a loan become an asset? Well, the answer is actually a reverse mortgage. Now, if you look at it from the accounting point of view, it's not exactly an asset because it offsets. You have an offset of a loan if you take the money out. But if quality of life is important to you, and if leaving a larger legacy is important to you, and if having better health care is important to you, the reverse mortgage is the answer to that question. As far as leaving it to your kids, I do have, where's that book I had here I was going to read from? Oops, I put it right here, but you know what? That's what happens in outer space. No, the other one. Well, okay. I had it right here. It must have taken off to outer space. So instead of that, speaking of outer space.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not sure if I have enough time. But it's exactly what we're talking about here. Yeah, well, so we've got some time. So I had that ready to go.
I have a joke.
I understand. You have a joke. How many jokes do you have?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Okay. This goes along with exactly what I had been talking about with the reverse mortgage. I'm going to read from a book, Understanding Reverse, Simplifying the Reverse Mortgage by Dan Helquist. I don't know. I doubt if there's any copyright problem because, you do see trailers from movies and they're just excerpts. So the reverse mortgage is a non-recourse loan. And what is a non-recourse loan? The non-recourse feature is one of the most powerful aspects of a reverse mortgage. Let me show you what I'm reading from. This feature states that the homeowner is not responsible for mortgage debt that accrues beyond the home's value. This can be the homeowner's peace of mind that they will not be leaving their heirs with a bill. So the abbreviated definition of non-recourse is that the home stands for the debt, not the homeowner or their heirs. Another way of expressing this is that there is no recourse for any mortgage loan other than the home itself. And here is the proper definition. FHA guarantees that neither the borrower nor the heirs will owe more than the home is worth at the time it is sold. So this should be comforting to every HECM borrower and their heirs. So for me, let me show you the book one more time. So when you sell a property, if the heirs are going to sell it, whatever it's sold for is the value. Any money left over, which there certainly should be, especially in California, that money goes to the heirs and they can do whatever they want with it. If, on the other hand, they want to keep it, then they simply pay off the loan. Now, if the loan is less than what the home is worth, that's fine. If the home is worth less than what the loan is because their parents lived for a very, very long time or whatever, let's hope that they did, then they can buy the property for themselves for 95% of what the value is. So in round numbers, if the property is worth $300,000 and the loan on the property is $600,000, they do not ever have to pay off that $600,000. That's what the insurance is for. The mutual insurance that people pay when they become part of the HECM community takes care of that, and it reimburses the bank for any loss that they have, and the borrower's heirs are completely free and in great shape. So they'll never look at a property that's upside down or underwater. And speaking of underwater, we have a splashdown from NASA Nellie.
Yes.
And we have a few more minutes, which Sean will tell us when it's time to stop, because you know me, I'll go on for another 2 hours. Here is NASA Nellie, and this time you do have retro rockets, right? There she is landing, and by the way, that retro rocket whistle came from the 91-year-old and his son that I was mentioning with Lori earlier that we're having lunch with on Monday. Anyway, so NASA Nellie's got some jokes. Take it away, NASA Nellie.
Before you criticize someone, walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you do criticize them, you're a mile away and you have their shoes.
Okay. Go on, will you, while that one sinks in, all right?
Yesterday, I spotted an albino Dalmatian. It was the least I could do for it.
Okay.
Spotted,
Yeah,
Dalmatians. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Go on.
If money doesn't grow on trees, how come banks have branches?
I don't know. Is that the whole joke, or is that a question that I need
That's
to?
a joke.
That's it. There's no punchline other than
No, that is the punchline.
Yeah. Okay. No, I understand. I got it.
It was so cold in D.C. the other day, I saw a politician with his hands in his own pockets.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. You want to repeat that?
It was so cold in D.C. the other day that I saw a politician with his hands in his own pockets.
Okay. Good one.
I have a few jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work.
Oh, wow. That is pretty funny. I think you should repeat that one.
I have a few jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work.
Wow. That's a silent laugh, but it is laughable. Go ahead, please, NASA Nellie.
I got a new...
Okay.
I got a new pair of gloves today, but they're both lefts, which on the one hand is great, but on the other hand, it's just not right.
Okay. All right. Well, I think with that, we better sign off because I think we've had enough of those jokes today. But thank you. Oh, there she goes. Thank you so much for being with us the last 2 hours. And remember that Jay will be on the same corner in front of the same cigar store next week. And until next week, thank you so much, everyone, for being part of the listening audience, for listening to the things we have to say, for sharing with the tax information, and even the jokes from NASA Nelly. But thank you so much. Everyone stay safe, stay productive, and we'll be with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.